We're getting layered up. It's stupid o'clock in the morning. It's 01:30, which isn't really the morning at all. It's the middle of the night. But to catch the tide and the wind, and there's about 10 knots out there at the moment from a good direction, so that's looking good. Kate's making the coffee and getting layered up as well. Might be 2 or 3 in the morning, whatever it actually is, but it's time for breakfast because I'm hungry. So, having set off in the middle of the night specifically to catch the favourable winds, it didn't really work out that way. And so we motored down the coast as the sun rose behind us. It was to be a bright but chilly day with very fluky winds. Well, the sun's up, it's 9 o'clock in the morning, it's really nice and sunny, but it's absolutely chuffing freezing out here. Look at Kate. She loves cold weather. The wind was much more variable than forecast, and at that time we hadn't really learnt the best way to sail downwind in a rolly sea. We also hadn't had enough sea time recently, so although not actually ill, we were both a bit lethargic from the motion, so we contented ourselves to motor the rest of the way to Dartmouth. Dartmouth, this is sailing vessel Intrepid Bear, channel 11, over.
Sailing vessel Intrepid, this is Dartmouth, go ahead, over.
Dartmouth, this is Intrepid Bear, good morning to you, sir. We're just about to enter the river, looking to go to the main anchorage and stay with you for a few days, over. The entry to the River Dart is incredibly picturesque, so it's always a pleasure to arrive there. We motored past the castles and up into the river, past the very quaint but cool ferries with their little tugs. We'll talk more about those later. And then we dropped anchor just off of the main town. The next morning the weather was a delight, so we wasted no time in getting the dinghy blown up to head ashore for some land time and some exploring. Blowing up this dinghy can seem a bit of a mission, but there was a reason behind the choice. So there's the dinghy built. You're probably thinking that that's a bit of a faff putting the dinghy together. Well, it is, but everything in boating is a compromise. We'd like to have a nice little rib on deck, but we haven't really got room because even with this length of dinghy, we're already blocking the anchor windlass quite badly. The dinghy's resting on it, so we don't want something on deck that size permanently. The one thing that really limits us is this. That piece of rigging there, which is called a baby stay, and that baby stay comes sort of halfway down the deck. If I step back here, you can see how much deck is behind the dinghy, but the dinghy is trapped by the baby stay. Bit of a shame in terms of deck space, but ultimately I think Naiad obviously put that baby stay there for a reason. It's for strength, so we can't really get rid of it, so we're stuck with the dinghy we've got. This dinghy, once it's blown up, it does only actually take about 20 minutes, although it seems like a faff. It is really strong with a nice solid aluminium floor. The way we sail, we plan to stay wherever we go for a few days at a time. We don't tend to just launch the dinghy for one trip, so when you view it like that, it's not so bad. You blow the dinghy up and you're ready to go, and it's there for a few days. We're here in Dartmouth now for at least 4 days we've paid for, and probably longer. So there's the dinghy, it's ready to go. Haul it over the side with a halyard, drop the outboard on, good to go. With the early spring sun shining bright and all the boatyard work behind us, couldn't wait to make the most of it. First of all, we went ashore on the Kingswear side where there is a boatyard and a steam railway. Oh yeah, that's pretty, isn't it? It doesn't matter what boat you have, how much you like your own boat, it's still cool looking at other people's, and that's quite a pretty one down there. Tamarind, it's probably wooden, so an awful lot of work, but very pretty. And from there, a stroll along the eastern riverbank looking at all the sights. If we had to live on land, maybe. Public footpath. Quite a bit of wine last night to celebrate our first day of our new life. Steep footpath. No.
Go down, it won't be so hard.
You know that if we go down we've got to come up, don't you? So instead we went down and we found some important business to attend to on the foreshore. Well, if you want to tell people about the search for the stone, what is the search for the stone?
I don't know where it started, but I believe that there's going to be a stone one day that's just like the stone. Right? So I look on beaches wherever we go and find stones and think, oh, that could be the one, but my heart knows it's not the one.
Is any of them the stone?
No, but they've got potential, and you see them all wet, like, oh, they're so pretty, but my heart says that's not the one.
Well, I think if it was the one, you would know straight away, wouldn't you?
We've got a whole world to look for the stone.
The stone.
Yeah.
You got to get out there and find the stone.
Yeah.
So, clearly none of those were the stone, but there were some nice flat ones amongst them, so...
I can do this. You're not supposed to just like throw it.
No.
You've got to
It did bounce, but your elbow needs to leave your side. Look, watch. You keep your elbow attached to your side like this. It makes you look slightly... Let your whole arm go.
Wow. Right, I'm going to have a go.
And free your elbow.
Free
Free
the elbow.
the elbow. Free it.
It's me.
Huh. After that, I'll stroll along the footpath towards the mouth of the river. It came to an abrupt end. So, after a little break back on board, we hopped back into the dinghy and we went ashore onto the Dartmouth side. We've been to Dartmouth several times before, but its quaint but bustling personality never fails to delight. There's so much to see that it's difficult to know what to include, but for this evening stroll, let's head along the quayside as the early spring gets going. Let's check out the atmosphere and some of the historic sights along the way. And the world is definitely opening back up. Perhaps the most impressive piece of history right in the town is Bayard's Cove Fort. This is a fort from Tudor times, built between 1522 and 1536. It contained heavy guns and was the last line of defence against enemy ships that had already eluded the Dartmouth and Kingswear castles at the entrance to the river, and the heavy chain which protected the river entrance. So if the ships had got this far, it was already a bad day. So enough about bad days for Dartmouth. Just around the corner was a very cheerful sight, a pint of cider in the last corner of sunshine, where we could sit and watch the comings and goings of the Dartmouth lower ferries. I mentioned these little ferries back at the beginning. I don't know if it's just my nerdy interest in boat handling, but their technique fascinates me. They reverse out, flip round and then push the ferry to the other side. To do all that, avoid other boats and land precisely on the ramp whilst taking the river flow into account is quite skillful indeed. The next day was another early spring sunny stunner, and we decided after attending to a couple of chores on the Dartmouth side that we would hike to an impressive landmark nearby. So this is our first sort of try at the real cruiser's life. We need to find a post office. We don't know where it is because we don't have a home port anymore. So we've got to look on Google. Thank God for Google Maps.
4-minute walk.
4-minute walk. You recall from yesterday that Kate is searching the world for the stone. Well, I have a quest of my own. I'm searching the world for the pasty. Britain's best pasty in 2019. We shall see, won't we? But I guess as pasties are unique to the UK and specifically Cornwall, then I'd better find it soon. Take a little while to get to the meat, so we'll see how we go. Yeah, not bad, not bad. I'm not sure it's the best pasty in the world, but not bad.
It was 3 years ago.
Yeah, that was in 2019. Pasties have moved on. So enough sunshine silliness, it's time to get on with that hike. And we're going to walk up over the hill to a thing called the Daymark. And the Daymark is a big stone structure built, well, hopefully there'll be a sign up there to tell us when it was built. Built back then to act as a conspicuous mark as you're navigating into Dartmouth, so you can navigate your way in, take bearings from it, etc. So we're going to hike up there. The hike itself was a couple of miles with some absolutely stunning views of the countryside and the river below. and we'll take a moment just to enjoy some of them. Bit warm, huh?
Nearly there, apparently.
Nearly there. And then around the corner to our first view of the Daymark. And what a view! An imposing structure stood tall on the hills above Dartmouth. So there it is, the Daymark. It's a navigational aid built in 1864, 25 metres high. It looks a lot higher actually, but apparently it's 25 metres high. Built, and it belongs to Dartmouth Harbour Authority, and it helps guide ships into Dartmouth Harbour. Pretty impressive really.
It looks in pretty good nick for something so old and exposed to the elements, but it's obviously a testament to its design.
Yes. Now just 2.5 mile walk home again. The weather stayed glorious for the walk home. There was still plenty more to see. Now this is the Brook Hill visitors entrance. Something tells me they don't want any visitors. And Kate even did a little foraging on the way. What are you doing?
I'm picking some wild garlic to make some pesto. It's not quite flowering, because you can use the flowers as well, but the leaves will make it awesome pesto.
What's that?
This is homemade wild garlic pesto.
And where did we get the wild garlic from?
We picked it in Dartmouth.
Yeah.
So yeah, pepper garlic breast.
Yeah. So there is lamb steaks with pasta and wild garlic pesto, foraged in Dartmouth, with some extra salady bits as well. So after some time relaxing, it was time for a bit of real life to kick in. So this morning, real life kicks in. We've kind of been on holiday up till now, but now we've got to go and do a big shop. Last time we did the big shop a week and a bit ago, we had a car, we put it all in the car, we drove it back to the boat and put it on the boat. This morning, we've got to use public transport, get it all in the dinghy, get it all on the boat. This is our new life, and looking forward to the new mission. Kate wasn't quite so keen.
How do I feel about the first shopping trip? Not as excited as you, but then you don't have to do the shopping.
I was being alright. I don't have to do the shopping. I've got to go into a shop.
Yes, what I mean. So you haven't done the shopping before. It's a me mission. So I'm not looking forward to not having the scan and shops that Theo has there and the car and all the rest of it. So yeah.
Too negative. Cut. So we're not used to getting public transport or buses because we haven't done it for so many years now, so got to try and work out which bus is which, but luckily we've got the internet these days, which helps a lot. Is it?
Move it.
Move it. Apparently if we leave it running in the background, it'll tell us when to get off the bus, because that's the one thing I never know, is where do we actually get off? How do we know if we're at Lidl? Apart from the sign that says Lidl.
Yeah.
Oh. Oh, I'm going in the back, yeah. We made it. We're back. 2 weeks shopping. Is it 2 weeks shopping?
I think so. Yeah, give or take any alcohol.
With the chores done, the sun was shining, the short trousers came out for the first time this year, and we treated ourselves to an evening dinghy picnic on a remote beach. Very tranquil and a beautiful journey home. did quite a bit more exploring on the Dartmouth side and discovered numerous beautiful and historic spots. There's Wharfleet Creek with its ancient lime kilns and the old mill building which once housed the Dartmouth pottery, which thrived after World War II. It is also a delightfully tranquil spot on a beautiful day. Further out towards the point there are choices to be made.
Castle or Sugary Cove? You've been to the castle before?
Yeah.
If you go to the cove you might see the castle.
Let's
Cove
try
is
that.
up.
Yeah. But we can do it.
Down.
We can do it. Let's do it.
Okay.
Just like to point out we're not always this lazy, it's just we're on holiday and we keep drinking a bit too much, and so that makes it harder to go up hills. I should probably have said that although this is our new life, we treated Dartmouth as a holiday after all the preparations and boat work. But hiking to Sugary Cove certainly countered some of the holiday excess. And was well worth the effort. Down at the river mouth, perhaps the best known site is Dartmouth Castle, but it was actually closed while we were there, and it is best viewed from the sea in any event. Just behind Dartmouth Castle is a much older structure. Some really old walls, older than the fort it looks like. But there's a sign up here, so let's go see what it says.
Wow, so 1388 people of Dartmouth feared an attack because you always France. You're at a fortalice to defend the mouth of the ship. And its remains are behind you, so that's the fortalice. It was 1388.
And standing above everything at Gallant's Bower is what looks like an ancient hill fort, but is actually remains of a Civil War fort from the mid-1600s. However, all the masonry was dismantled, leaving just the earthworks, which were covered in early spring bluebells. Wish I could fly the drone, but it's a bit too windy. But you can see the walls of this old earth fort, hill fort. There's one going up there, there's one over the other side there. And then on each corner is what I would call a turret, but there's amazing views all around, which may be why they put a fort here. There is so much more to Dartmouth, but one thing we're discovering with this life is it would be just too easy to just stop in one place for too long. But there's a world out there that needs exploring. So we've been in Dartmouth for just over a week now. We arrived on the Friday and it's now Saturday, I think. No idea what day it is a lot of the time. So we're starting to think about moving on, and we're looking at the weather. It's quite strong easterly now until Monday. So we're just going to take a run down to the harbour mouth now, or the mouth of the river, just to see what the conditions out there look like with this stiff easterly. Really difficult to tell, to be honest, from here. You can see white caps. I'd say it's not going to be dangerous, but it might be uncomfortable. But what we'll do is we'll take a walk tomorrow up over the hills there, up beyond the castle. We'll have a look down from over there because that'll be a nice walk, and that'll give us an even better idea of what the weather's going to be like Monday. So yeah, we'll have a look. This is also a great excuse for one last explore and adventure. We come out to Blackstone Point, which is right down at the end. See if we can have a look out, see what the conditions are like, because currently it's blowing 25-30 knots down in the harbour, and out there I assure you it really doesn't show up properly on camera, but we'll have a look out anyway. Exploring further on, we found an even better vantage point to assess the sea conditions. Sometimes dodging off the main path, you just find a little tunnel through the trees or the bushes and you think, well, let's have a look at that. So there's the main path, and then this, virtually can't see it, but down through here, a couple of steps, and wow, front row seats for the action on the foreshore. Fancy being out in those conditions?
No, not at all. No.
So we headed back to the boat, having made the fairly easy decision to leave it for a couple of days before setting sail.
Hi, I hope you enjoyed the episode. If you did, then please consider liking and clicking subscribe. That really helps us out. If you've got any comments to make, we'd really like to hear from you, and we'll respond to any questions that you have, so just leave any comments down below. Also, if you want to know when the next episode is going to be out, then don't forget there's a little bell. If you click that, YouTube will notify you when there's a new episode out. So that's it for now. As I say, this was filmed in spring. We're now beginning of July. We're currently in Falmouth, getting ready to head south across the Bay of Biscay in a few weeks' time. So if you want to follow in real time or see what we've done in the meantime, pop over to Facebook or Instagram, follow Intrepid Bear, have a look and join us there. Otherwise, we'll see you in the next episode. Bye.